welcome to Definitely Not Funny. Actually, the least funny person I know.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Definitely Not Funny. I am your host, Jackie Norris, and today we are joined by the incredible Ellory Smith. Ellory is a stand-up comedian and writer based in Los Angeles and is truly one of my favorite stand-ups I've ever seen live. This was a super special episode for me because I've shamelessly been following Ellory for years now, ever since I first saw her perform in early 2020, pre-pandemic, and I feel so lucky I got the opportunity to chat with her and just pick her brain a bit. Needless to say, I'm obsessed with her, and you're about to be too. Also, I quickly want to mention I had some audio technical difficulties that I am aware of and not happy about. So if you hear a switch in the audio, don't be alarmed. You're not going crazy. I would never gaslight you like that. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Ellory Smith. Well, hi, Ellory.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome to Definitely Not Funny. So excited to have you. This is really special. I saw you. So do you know, I saw you perform at Brooke's senior house at USC.
Way.
Yes.
Was that the one? Because I've done a few USC shows. That was Brooke was hosting, and it was at the house.
It
right?
was at a house
a
called
frat
Dog Pound.
House.
It was
Dog Pound.
It was all senior girls.
All
But
senior girls.
you might have thought it was a frat
that
house.
lived there. Oh, okay, yes. I think it
Yes, and it was
a
an
sorority or something. It was outdoors.
It's an outdoors stage or whatever.
I did this other USC show outdoors. It was somebody's final project, I think, that they had done for
that makes sense.
something. And a girl after my set came up to me and told me that I looked 18, and it was the best compliment I've ever gotten in my life.
You're like, this is
I
really
was
gonna
like,
help me.
I didn't get paid to come to this show, but this made the whole
But this
thing.
was worth it.
Yes, definitely, this was worth it.
That's fantastic. So you are a stand-up comedian.
Yes,
You
I'm a
also
stand-up.
you're a writer.
Mm-hmm.
You do other dabbling in
That's basically
the comedy
it.
space.
That's sort of the whole.
And you work in a soup kitchen,
and I do
you
work at
take care of children.
Yes, and I'm also a professional babysitter,
So
and I freelance copyright. So
you're quite altruistic.
If you need anything, I need money. So
you can make it happen.
I can make it happen, whatever it is you need.
I believe in you. Did you always know that you wanted to do something creative?
Yes, I always wanted to be a writer. I thought
When you were younger?
Yeah, when I was younger, I thought that I might be a poet or something before I really understood how money worked. And publishing, and I understood, unfortunately the business side of art. I definitely knew that I wanted to be a writer. And then when I was in high school, I worked at Trader Joe's with a woman.
Where did you grow up?
Upstate New York, a very rural town. So the Trader Joe's I worked at was an hour away from where I actually grew up.
You drove an hour to work every day?
Yeah, more or less. My high school was also there. And then I did my first year of college. It's a long story. But yes, I grew up in a very rural town. Most of the shit was an hour away.
Wow.
I worked at Trader Joe's while I was in high school. I met a woman there who was a stand-up, still is a stand-up, Jay McBride. And she brought me to my very first open mic when I was 17 or 18. And then that was the rest of my life. I was like, that's it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was a little nervous, but it was nobody there. And it was
Yeah.
Albany, New York. So it's not
Yeah.
I feel like kids starting out here, it's harder because there is industry in LA.
Yeah.
There's no industry in
Did you have
Albany, New
anything
York.
prepared, or you just
Yeah,
sort of showed
no,
up?
I knew that I had written jokes, and which you should do if you're going to an open mic.
Should have just wing it.
I mean, you can, but I don't recommend that. That is some people's vibe, and that's fine. But I think you have to be at least a practiced improviser before you start doing that. Yeah, so I had written jokes, and it went pretty well, and then I just kept doing it forever. I didn't stop until the pandemic, basically.
Wow. So, and that was when you were like, I'm going to pursue this seriously.
I guess I didn't know that it was serious. I knew that I didn't want to stop.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go to Emerson because I knew that they had a film. At first, I wanted to move to LA, and then that would just financially was not possible, and I also didn't want to be that far from home just yet. So I set my heart on Emerson, and I really wanted to go, and I wanted to do their writing for TV and film program, and I got waitlisted. So then I did a year at UAlbany, which was so cheap. It was $7,000, and it actually ended up.
Wow.
I know. It actually ended up sort of saving my life because now because I don't have any college debt because of that, and then also I dropped out.
No way.
Yeah, just a little bit, but it did save me like three. It did save me like
I
$3,000.
a little bit dropped out.
I just dropped out a little bit. I literally had one class left.
Oh my god.
Yes, but because of that I don't have any debt, and so I can afford to live out here, which is great. So at the time I was like sad that I had to do that. And now as an adult, I'm like, oh, that rocked.
You're like, thank you.
Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So you went to Emerson for TV.
Writing for TV and film. Yeah.
Amazing. And then you didn't graduate.
No, I moved out here. I did their Emerson LA campus. I had taken a math class because that's another way that I afforded college was I would take classes in the summer at like state schools or at community colleges because they're cheaper and you can do it in the summer. So I had taken a math class at UMass Amherst, and Emerson had told me that it would count towards my graduation. And then once I moved to LA, they were like, just kidding. We changed the curriculum. It doesn't count anymore. You have to move back and finish it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because they were like, we don't offer it online because it's such a small school. And your last 16 credits have to be done through Emerson. They can't be like a community college course or something. So yeah, I was like,
that's so annoying.
I know.
Okay, in my book, you graduated.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. No, you graduated.
That's exactly how I feel. And nobody asks. Like nobody gives a shit.
You're gonna show up to a stand-up gig and they're gonna be like,
yes,
show us your diploma.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
And I'm still like, I have taken corporate jobs and stuff, and they don't care. Like people, I mean, some people care, but most people don't, especially out here.
Yeah.
And I say attended Emerson College on my resume, so I'm not lying. You know?
That's so true.
I
That's
did
so
go
true.
there.
You're selling yourself right.
I did go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of fucked me. But then when I got nominated for an Emmy, they put me in their little pamphlet and they like got my graduation year wrong because I dropped out.
Oh my God. Wait, can we talk about you getting nominated for an Emmy?
Yes.
That was for Robot Chicken?
That was for Robot Chicken, yeah. I got 3 Emmy nominations, which was very lovely.
Were you pooping yourself?
Which is awesome. Let's also remember that I am still a professional babysitter, and
doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. It feels awesome.
No one can take that away from you. You got nominated for a couple Emmys.
That's true. That's true. I get to keep that forever, which is great. Yeah, that's nice. No, you're right. I'll take that.
That's so sick.
Yeah,
people dream of that, Ellory.
I do. Yeah, because I'm in a real year where I've been doing comedy for 10 years in May. It'll be 10 years.
Wow.
And so I'm in a really weird spot in my career where I'm like, I'm not as far along as I thought I would be. Things have definitely stalled. The pandemic stole a few years from me. Yep. Like I stopped doing stand-up for like a year and a half, basically.
Yeah.
And
you couldn't do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I just feel like, I don't know, like not where I want to be yet. But on my bad days, I'm like, okay, if I was talking to like 17-year-old me or 18-year-old me, and I'm like, in 10 years, you'll have 3 Emmy nominations. You'll have been staffed. Like, that was everything I wanted.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. She'd freak out.
I can't complain.
She'd be like, this girl is so cool. Why is she talking to me?
I mean,
think it's cool.
I do think that in my adult apartment now, like, I try to do this thing where I, like, let, like, teenage me or childhood me see through my adult eyes. And so, like, I'll look around my apartment and be like, wow, like, this is exactly what, like, it's so me. Like, I decorated it the way that I want. I finally live alone. Like, yeah.
Yeah. No, I have that, too, sometimes. Like, if I'm, like, really down about something or if I'm, like, pissed off or whatever... I'll be like 17, or if like I'm mad at my dog because he's being stupid and annoying. I'll be like 17-year-old me would freak out. She would lose her shit. Yeah. She always wanted a dog. She always wanted to live in California. Like she always wanted to be by the beach. I'm from Boston.
Oh right,
yeah. And
that's so funny.
I'm like she wouldn't give a shit like what I was doing all day. She would be so stoked about these things, and I'm like, okay,
that's nice. That's
right.
So nice. Yeah.
This is like really cool.
That's
like,
a
I
win.
actually did sort of get there.
Yeah, we did get there, which is nice. And we're very young.
Exactly.
So
very, very young. But I think there is, I'm sure with comedy, I was telling you, I talked to a couple singers and they were talking about age pressure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with comedy, being a female in comedy has got to be
it's intense.
It's own
tough
animal.
Definitely. It was harder when I started. It was hard in Boston. It was really hard in Boston.
Totally believe that.
And then I felt like when I moved to LA, it got a little bit easier because there were so many wonderful female comedians who were just so like gracious and really, I think out here, I mean, I'm not going to speak for everybody's experience, but at least in my experience, it's very collaborative and people are willing to help. You know, actually, do you know Amy Silverberg? She's a teacher at USC.
No.
Oh, you didn't go to USC.
No, I did.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. Well, she's a teacher.
I did, but I was a business student. I was like very separated from...
Okay. She's like in Brooks Wing of whatever. She like sort of took me under her wing when I moved out here, and it was like... And a bunch of other comedians did that too. And so, yeah, that was tough. But because I don't act, I don't feel... I mean, I feel a little bit of age pressure, but like not as much as other people. And that's why I don't act.
And you look like you're 18, so you're fine.
Remember? Yes. Oh, yes. And also, thank you for saying that.
She thinks you're 18.
She thinks I'm 18. And I will take that right to the grave.
Yeah. Keep living. How old were you when she said that?
I was like 27, 26.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So then,
whatever, just subtract 6 years from whatever you're at. No, 8 years.
I turn 28 next week. I shouldn't say that. Actually, I turn 24 next week.
So you're 20.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If
I'm
you're
20 years
24, then
old.
you're 16.
Yes. Oh my God. So
you gotta
true.
subtract 8, Ellory. You're on the right track. How did you find the robot chicken job?
I had been doing stand-up for a while. Well, no, I guess it goes back before that. When I was 19 or 20, I was already doing stand-up at that point, but I was very new. I went to Austin, Texas for a festival. I was doing some shows. I went to some panels, and I met the Adult Swim guys. And I lied to them about how old I was, and we all went out afterwards, and I like had them all follow me on Twitter. And then they just kept reading my tweets and reaching out, and and I moved out to LA, and I like made good on that connection. I reached back out to everybody to be like, hey, like I'm in LA, and
this was, you met them while you were in college.
Yes, like my
went out
first or second years of college. So this is like 3 or 4, no, probably 2.5, 3 years later, I move out to LA.
Okay.
I don't know. Timeline's messy. And then when I'm out in LA at the end of my last semester, I just reach out to everybody to say what's up. And it turns out that they are taking submissions, packet submissions. And at that point, I didn't even know what a packet was. For
Can
anybody.
you explain?
Yes, a packet is shows that are hiring. They will send out sort of whatever they want you to write to submit to that show. So it might be a monologue. It might be like a few sketches. It'll be tailored to the show. So like SNL has you do like 8 original sketches that include like all of their cast members, or like The Daily Show might do like a monologue and then some segments you'll write. So they're each different and they're tailored to each show. But I didn't know that. All I had at that point was a spec. I had a pilot. That was actually oh my God, what was that show with? I can't even remember the name. Abby Jacobson and Alana.
Oh my God, Broad City?
Broad City, yes.
Yes.
I had a Broad City spec. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that. I had a Broad City spec that I had written in college.
And that's like you wrote
I wrote an episode of Broad
Okay.
City, yeah. Just, that's before people were reading original pilots, that's what they were doing, was they were writing specs. Now people want to see an original pilot and then sometimes a spec. But that's a whole other conversation. So I had an episode of that. And I sent that over and they really liked it. And it just so happened that one of the guys on the show was doing Broad City like that month or whatever. He was just about to be on an episode of that show. And so he really liked it and was really impressed. And then I got the meeting and then I got the job. And
oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm very grateful and I love them all.
That's amazing. How long did you do that for?
I guess my first season was January 2017. And then I think the last time I wrote on it was like 2020.
Wow.
Yeah.
You did that for a while.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a full-time job. It was only like 2 months out of the year.
Yeah.
So like when it wasn't on, I was like, I also typically worked 2 jobs, like that job, because it didn't pay a lot of money.
Okay.
So I would take that job and then I would work like somewhere else. So I worked at a dog hotel.
Simultaneously?
Yeah, simultaneously at the same time.
Wow.
I worked at a dog hotel. I babysat. What else did I do? Oh, I was a receptionist for a while. I've worked in a few offices, like doing copy.
Yeah.
Coat check, just a bunch of bullshit. I bartended for the LA Ballet for a while.
That's awesome.
I know. I did all of their Nutcracker Christmas shows.
That sounds very fancy.
It was, except for I am not a big drinker and I really didn't know how to open a bottle of wine.
Yes.
And I was really bad at it. And so customers would just do it for me because they would like not want to watch me
like,
struggle.
why am I here?
literally like they're popping your own beers. I was like, whatever.
Fair enough. So you all also host the Funnilingus show.
Yes.
I host Hotel Cafe.
Yes. I host a stand-up show called Funnilingus at Hotel Cafe. Our next one is December 13th.
Amazing.
It's fun. We've been doing it for 5 or 6 years now, which is crazy to think about. It started as a backyard show. Then we moved to like a co-working space, and now we are at a theater, a Hotel Cafe in Hollywood, which I love.
Wow.
And is walking distance from my house.
Amazing.
But bad parking.
Most places are.
Most places.
How did you like get into that? What was your inspiration for creating an all-female show? And
yeah, so it's a show that's no men, so it's all female and non-binary. And I just started it because I was like, it's honestly the best way to like entrench yourself in a scene is to start a show, because that way you have a reason to talk to comedians you admire.
Yeah.
Everybody wants stage time. Everybody likes to be thought of. So it's sort of like the perfect way to like put yourself into a scene and get talking to people.
Yeah.
And then when you run a show, people will be like, oh, I should book her on something. Then you'll get booked on stuff. And so I think it's just, and also I think it's healthy for the scene. Like the more shows there are in the city, the better the scene is.
Yeah.
So I encourage everyone to run a show or a mic. Yeah. If stand-up is something that they do, I feel like this is a little bit of a complaint, an old lady complaint.
That's fine.
But I feel like stand-ups often will complain that New York is a much better scene than LA. And I think that there is some truth to that. You can get on stage more times. But it's because people in New York run shows and they run open mics. And so I'm like, you can't complain that you can't get on stage enough.
If you're not gonna also run, like, some opportunity for other people to get on stage. Yeah.
Like, we have to, you know what I mean?
You gotta make it for other people too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just like, if you don't do it, I don't do it. Who's gonna do it?
Yep. And what has been, like, the business model behind starting that? Like, did you realize,
we lose money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's the real business model is that we lose money every month. It's basically it was free at first when it was in a backyard and we would sell drinks. And now we sell tickets and we have a producer and it's, we do festivals and it's a little bit more above board.
Yeah.
But it used to be really DIY. We, like, had a tattoo station once.
Like a real tattoo?
My old roommate
did stick and poke tattoos.
Oh my God.
She's done a few of mine and she was raising money for something. She was making a short film that she was raising money for. So she had a tattoo station at Funnilingus. And
Did people get tattoos?
Yeah, lots of people got tattoos.
No
a bunch
way.
of events, yeah.
Oh my God. I went to an event once where, like, they had a tattoo artist, like, doing tattoos, and one girl just, like, gets up there and she's like, I'll get one. And she, like, looks at the 6 options and she's like, that one looks good. Put it right here. And I, like, was just like,
That's exactly what people did. We had a
Oh
little
my
splash
God.
sheet. Yeah.
so bold. I really respect it. I
It is
could
very
never.
bold, but that's like, I mean, it was punk. It was DIY. It was grunge.
It's very cool.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get one, but
You're like, I'm not that cool.
no, but it was available for other people to get. Yeah.
Exactly. But, okay. And then you are really big on Twitter.
I wouldn't say really big, but yeah.
Whatever, you're big enough on Twitter.
I'm a Medium account.
You're funny on Twitter.
Sure.
You have really funny tweets.
Oh, thank you very much.
They are funny. They've made me chuckle.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's really so sweet. Thank you.
That's a really big deal. How did you come up with your tweets? How did you get into that?
I started tweeting when I was in the 9th grade and I just never stopped. And it's a total brain disease. It's really bad for you. They will have to drag me off of it. I mean, it's going down anyway. I don't know. You're on Twitter?
Like,
You
not
are?
really.
Not really.
To be completely honest,
Do you know
with
what's happening with it or no?
I know,
like the Elon Musk
took
stuff?
over.
Yeah.
I just see your tweets because you post them. You post
Oh,
pictures
right.
of
I post
yourself,
them on
and then with
Instagram.
your
Oh, I forgot about.
That's the only place I see that.
No, that's good. I forgot that I do that.
It's good that you do that because
thank you
you're
for
reaching a
saying
market
that.
that doesn't.
Thank you for saying that.
That doesn't touch Twitter.
I totally agree. I've only recently started capital P, capital I posting on Instagram. Just because I fucking hate.
It's stressful.
Just all of it. It's stressful.
Yeah.
I also
You're sort of like, what's the point?
with that, but it's like I have always wanted to be a writer. I don't necessarily want to be an influencer or a content creator, and yet I feel the world is such now that I must be, and that's the only way that I can get meetings and I can sort of break through. And so because of that, I feel like a slave to it, an indentured servant, and I just have so much resentment for needing to post.
How do you make it fun?
I don't.
You don't.
Work.
Okay,
it sucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What types of accounts are you following?
I really just follow my friends.
Yeah.
And then I follow random furniture accounts.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah. But I try to and that's the other thing is I used to post on TikTok a lot and it was working, but then I fell off for 2 weeks and I was like, wait, I feel so much better not being on TikTok.
Yeah.
The way that it makes me feel it's a noticeable difference when I'm not glued to my phone.
Yes.
And then it just also feels like everything's an ad. I just feel like I live in the perma mall and everything is the mall now. Yes. I just miss real life, I guess.
Yes, and we're just getting kind of spewed shit. And
yes, all of the time. And then it took me a while to realize that they were even ads. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Because you're just this is just a girl trying on clothes or something. And then you're
or it's her beauty routine. Meanwhile, I'm writing down every product she's using and then I'm going to go buy it.
Yeah.
No.
And then I'll literally sit on TikTok and it'll take 15 minutes before it hits me where I'm like, wow, I feel like shit.
I feel
I just watched this girl do her morning routine.
And I'm watching
I'm
super, super rich 15-year-olds. That girl's life is not my life. It's
exactly.
not never going to be my life.
Exactly.
And if she had to live in my life, she'd kill herself. So it's really just
so I'm the champion here.
Yeah. Actually, if you think about it, I win. So
exactly. So fuck you.
Yeah.
You'd be dead if you were playing my game.
Yeah. On the money. But I guess I really went off on a tangent. To answer your questions, I don't know how I think in my tweets. I sort of just type out my feelings.
So you don't like sit down and write them?
I mean,
I don't like take a Saturday afternoon.
No,
and be like,
God,
I have to
no.
come up with tweets for the week.
No, God, no. That is not how I feel about it at all. Which is funny because that's how I feel about Instagram.
Yeah.
But that's not how I feel about Twitter. Twitter is just, it's like word vomit. It's funny because it's like, it took me like a really long time to realize that the things I tweeted existed. Does that make sense? That like they were there for other people to see and it wasn't like a private wasn't just like space.
A journal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That it was like, oh no, 70,000 people are going to read this. So like maybe think about what you say. Took me a very long time to learn that. Very.
Have you still figured it out?
This is the first year, genuinely, where I'm like,
wow.
Let me read this over and think about how somebody might interpret this
before I put it out there.
Before I hit send.
That's so funny. So you'll come up with something and then you'll be sitting there and you'll be like, okay, out it goes.
Yeah, it's very off the hip, which is probably I should probably save it in a draft and like edit it.
But it's working. People like it.
Some people like it. I mean, yeah.
It's funny.
Sure, it's funny.
I think it's funny.
I mean, the work is work as long as it gets out there, I guess. But sometimes I'm like, does Twitter take me away from writing for real?
Yeah.
Sometimes I worry that about stand-up where I'm like, because I do a lot of stand-up and I love it, but I'm like, am I just doing this and then I feel like I'm working a lot and then I'm not writing at all?
I get that.
That's my big fear.
How do you come up with your like bits and your jokes for stand-up?
I work. Like I try to do open mics still. And like I'll just write down ideas all week long, like as things happen to me or as things come. It is very much a muscle, and it was harder at first, but now I like sort of just stay open to ideas all week long, and I put them aside, and then I'll do a few open mics, and I'll go to a few shows, and then I'll keep what works or retool it, and then.
How often are you like refreshing your set?
I would say every 6 months I have like a 5 to 8 to 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so I mean, a lot of that can't be used at the end of the day. Like I'll pick stuff up and I'll drop it and like I'll just keep the stuff that I feel like really kills.
Yeah.
I can be a little bit, I don't know, harsh about how well things are doing. So I'm taping my hopefully special this spring.
Oh my God.
Self-funded.
That's so exciting.
But
the fact that you have enough content for a special.
I definitely have. I mean, I can do 45 minutes to an hour.
That's amazing.
I've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is like 10 minutes every year, basically. Or I guess that'd be 100 minutes.
I don't know. Whatever. Math.
Exactly. I did not finish
6 minutes a year. You're good.
Yeah,
you didn't graduate. Technically, didn't take that class.
I technically didn't take class.
I didn't go.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna go back through all of my old stuff and see what I can pull and make, recent and stuff like that.
That's so exciting. So how do you do like doing your own special? What does that mean to have a self-funded special?
I mean, it's going to be tough. I'm basically going to ask all of my friends who have done it to give me all of their best advice. But I'm going to do it really DIY. I'll probably use somebody's backyard. And then luckily all of my friends went to film school. So I'm going to ask that they cut me a real deal and I'll probably hire them to film it. And then God willing, I will try to sell it to a production company or somebody. Or if nobody wants to buy it, I'll probably put it up as an album.
Yeah.
And try to get like some streaming money from it.
So cool. So fun. I'll listen to it.
Please.
I will. You'll have one view.
I mean, that's
and Zeke will listen to. He'll have it on repeat.
Zeke will find it so offensive.
No, maybe it'll be the thing. Like you know, I said he has bad separation anxiety and he screams and cries. If I play while I'm
maybe
gone,
you should record your voice for him. Do you think that would help?
I could just play my podcast
freak
for him
out. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe I'll do that. Honestly,
I mean, try it out. Or it would make him be like, "Wait, I hear her, but she's not here."
Yeah. Like this is like this weird Inception thing. What the fuck is going on?
Maybe like a little white noise machine.
Yeah, he's something.
I'm obsessed with him.
Isn't he great?
He's so great.
I love him so much.
He's a little Velcro dog.
Yeah, he will not let you go. It's not gonna happen. So, what is your like? You don't want to? Do you want to do stand up like for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I'll do stand up forever for sure. There's just not enough money in it.
Yeah. You need something else that's more sustainable.
Everybody has to do something else. I think there are very few like just pure stand-ups. And if they are, they're road dogs. They're traveling all the time.
Yes.
Which is great, but it's not necessarily what I want to be doing with my whole life. I would love to be like Ellory Kilmartin. She was a Conan writer and then she's also a stand-up and she has some albums and she travels, but she also writes.
Cool.
Where I would love to be able to have like a small fan base that I can always do stand-up for, but like mostly be writing in TV writing rooms.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is like what would you say is your favorite thing and your least favorite thing about stand-up?
That's a really good question.
You can think.
I know. It's one of those things where I'm like, if I think about this for too long by myself, I'll have a real crisis of character.
I get that.
But my least favorite thing about stand-up is probably the business aspect of it. You have to be so, like, hardworking, and I'm not a hard worker. I'm really not. Like,
you described your day to me. You sound like a hard worker.
But that's I will put myself in a lot of places, but like when it comes to like being able to finish something without a deadline, or like being able
I get that.
to self-promote, or just like you really, especially if you don't have any connections, you have to be like a dog with a bone, just like going after it every day. Like,
yeah.
And you really have to put like, I for so long I had such a confidence problem and so much like self-loathing, and you have to put that aside to just be like, yeah, I'm really good at what I do, and this is why you should hire me, and like, my ideas do matter, and I am interesting. And like for so long, and this is something I still battle with, I'd be like, well, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Yeah. And like, I don't have a story to tell, and like other people, like, why would I want to take up space if other people could just go do it?
How did you get over that?
Well, I'm not really.
Okay, that's fine.
I definitely still work with that.
Of course.
I've tried to fall. This is such a Brooke, our shared mutual friend. Yeah. She, like, when I'm complaining about this, she'll just be like, well, you have to fall in love with the process. And for so long, I was like, Brooke, shut
the fuck up.
Shut up. That's not helpful. But unfortunately, she's right. And, you know, like, the material aspects of my life are so good and fun. Yeah. And, like, I live near my friends, and I do stand-up all the time. And, like, that's sort of how I got over it, is just being like, no, this is a thing I love to do. I do it because I love it. All of my friends are here, which is, I guess, which leads me to my favorite part of stand-up, is that, like, I get to laugh. So, like, I feel like working in comedy for so long, you see a lot of comedy and you become it's harder to make you laugh, but I don't think that's been true for me. I am so easy to laugh, and it's something that I, like, love so much and I really need. And, like, I love feeling like shocked or surprised, or like seeing something on stage that I've never seen before, or like couldn't have thought of. Like, what I love about LA is you can see like the weirdest shows that you'll ever see in your life, like things that people other places wouldn't like or understand or care about. Yeah. But it's just like, it's like lightning in a bottle. Like, stand-up was really, especially when it's live. Yeah. And it's like, which is funny because I'm very much more of like a writerly stand-up. Like, I don't do much crowd work and I don't really use the space, but my favorite stand-ups are people who are like, you need to see them live because they won't do that again. Like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome. Whenever I'm in a real funk with stand-up and I'm like resentful or like, I don't know, just in a bad place, I try to stop getting on stage and start going to shows and being like, oh, I'm just going to watch my friends do stand-up, and seeing them have fun and like have good ideas. Like, that's going to inspire me.
That's amazing, because I think a lot of people really struggle with seeing like their friends succeed and comparing and stuff like that. So I think the fact that you've mastered being able to be energized by it.
Well, I have not mastered it. That definitely still happens to me.
But you're doing a good job.
I'm doing a good job. The thing about that is like, because that definitely still happens to me. Of course. And especially, I started stand-up so young. I've been doing it for 10 years, and I've seen people who've been doing it for like 3 or 4 sort of like skyrocket past me.
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yes. Yeah. Part of me, yeah. But it's like, it is conscious work. Like, everybody has those feelings. And it's totally normal, and that's fine. And, like, I accept that in myself, and I accept it in other people. But, like, the work is, like, every day challenging that sort of sentiment. Like, instead of allowing it to grow, I try to, like, shine light on some other stuff. Does that make sense? Like, I try to, like, redirect that energy in a really conscious way.
No, completely. I think that's really
I do really think
smart.
It helps.
It's very powerful.
It's a little, like, cringy. I also had to get over it. I'm, like, I used to be such, like, a pessimist and, like, an atheist and sort of, like, like, the world is bad and, like, fuck this. And I'm like, then I'm like, oh, that's not helpful. No, yeah, no, it actually, like, that makes you feel bad.
Yeah, this, like, doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It took me a long time to learn that, and to learn that, like, cynicism and, like, nihilism, like, they're not cool. They're not helpful. Yeah. Yeah. And they're corrosive to you.
Yes. Yeah. So I did, as, like, an aside, I did this, like, mental health program at this, like, hospital for OCD for, like, 10-week program. And it was amazing and so life-changing. And a lot of what we talked about, it was fantastic. Like, the best thing I've ever done for myself.
Oh, I love that.
10 out of 10 recommend. Like,
I know. Was it covered by your insurance?
It was covered by my insurance.
That's so nice. I've tried to get into places like that, and I've just never had the...
I did it at McLean in Boston. Oh. Yes. It was unbelievable. It was so positive, so life-changing. But one of the really big things we talked about was, don't worry about, like, whether or not a thought is true. Is it helpful or unhelpful? Like, is this a helpful thought or is this not a helpful thought? and give energy and life to the ones that are helpful.
Yes.
So, like, the fact that you figured it out.
That is such, like, an unlocking. I mean, it took me literally all of my life. This is, like, year 1 where I'm acting like this.
Same.
But, yeah, to be able to sort of, like, turn that on and be like, instead of, like, interrogating, like, the truth of this, like, let's just put it into 2 categories and focus on the good one.
Yeah.
It's so wild.
Exactly.
And it's also crazy that, like, a cognitive trick that's so small can, like, open
Makes such a big difference.
Yes, makes such a big difference in your life.
Yes. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why didn't they tell us this, like, a really long time ago?
A really long time ago.
There were a lot of things they could have told us that they didn't.
I know. I think about that a lot.
But, alas. Have you ever wanted to, like, give up, and what has stopped you from giving up?
Yeah.
You're like, today?
Yes. No, dude, literally every day. I mean, I literally just said this, but I'm having
a little crisis.
A little crisis.
Do you want to talk about it, or no? You don't have to.
We sort of gotten to it. Just that I've been doing comedy for 10 years, and I'm not where I would want to be, and
You're never going to be where you want to be.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You're never going to be where you want to be. And even when you have everything, like, there's always going to be something else. So I'm trying to deal with that. And then what, like, the real, like, bread and butter of it is that, like, I don't make my money from comedy, and I live a very, like, poor lifestyle, and I really am struggling financially. And so I don't think I'm at the point. I also told myself that I would give myself 10 years when I moved out here. So I moved out here when I was 22. And so I always told myself that, like, okay, at 32, which is crazy now that I'm so close to it.
Yeah, I know.
But, I told myself at 32 I'd check back in. So I still have I have like 4 or 5 more years before I really need to, like.
But are we talking real 32 or Ellory looks 32?
I mean, if that's the
then
case,
you
I
have
have
until
quite
40.
a long time. I mean, I have forever. Here's the other thing is, like, you're never too old, and would I really want, like, another life?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, even though my life is really tough and I do work a lot and, like, you know, it's not easy and I don't have health insurance and et cetera, I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I feel right now. That might not be how I feel at, like, 34 when I want other stuff.
Well,
but
then you'll deal with it then.
Then I'll deal with it then. Yeah. Exactly. And yeah, I mean, I'm really vibing. I love living out here. I love being able to do comedy. Every year I do more comedy than the year before. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Do you think you want to get more into writing?
I just want to be able to do it sustainably. Like, I want to be paid for writing. I want to be paid for my stand-up. Like, I really want to be doing it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever, I'm actually curious, this is, like, separate, I'll probably cut this out, but have you ever looked into, like, an advertising agency and doing copywriting?
Yes, I am a freelance copywriter. I have worked at a lot of agencies doing copywriting, and it is something I can always go back to, I'm sure. Yeah. I personally have such a problem with authority and hierarchy, and I'm sure that I will find myself back there at some point, but, like, the thought of being, like, a desk monkey.
Yes. And being, like, a slave to my computer, and, like, I still have PTSD from, like, the sounds of Slack, like, coming through. Like, I really...
I got attacked by those today.
Dude, exactly. And I still, like I said, I still freelance write. I still have clients, but, like, that's the deal is, like, they're clients and I
full time.
Exactly, and I can say no to them.
Yes.
And then also the older I get, like, the more,
I guess, aware of labor laws I am.
Yeah.
Or, like, I'm very good, especially because doing stand-up, I'm like, okay, I'll have a day job, but, like, stand-up is my job. Like, whatever.
And it's late.
It's late. It goes
like you
late.
were saying, you have at 9:50 tonight.
Yes, I have to go. Yeah.
That's when it starts?
Well, I won't get on stage till 10:30 probably.
Oh my God.
I know. Although this is the first year where I'm not doing 11 p.m. shows. Like,
and then when do you wake up in the mornings?
Well, like 8 or 9, so not crazy early, but, like, still. And also I need a lot of sleep. I need, like, 9 or 10 hours of sleep. That's how I look so young. Genuinely.
That's the secret.
Yeah. So stand-up is my real job, at least for now. And whatever I'm due to make money, that's my second job.
Yeah.
So I have had a very long road of being able to enforce boundaries at work, and I'm good about it now. But there are some company cultures that, like, will not like when you set boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you say that you won't work late on short notice, or you won't come in early, or, like, you don't work weekends, that's a really big problem, especially if other people will do that.
Are doing it, yeah.
Yes, and I've had a lot of jobs that are just so blatantly taking advantage of employees, and, like, I have very little emotional space for that, especially because I don't give a fuck. I have been a line cook. I've been a barista.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go take another service job, because at service jobs, people don't expect you to give a fuck.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, at corporate company culture, people are like, oh, is this not your whole life?
Like, do you not have this passion for it?
Yes, exactly. Or, like, you cannot pay me to go to a happy hour after hours with And literally, I've worked places where people were like, I've been talked to by bosses where they're like, well, you need to participate in happy hour. And I'm like, no, I don't.
That's not part of the job.
That's after hours. If you're not paying me, I'm not there.
Yeah.
That's the beginning and the end of it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I feel about places that are like, oh, can you work an hour late? And I'm like, no. If I can't come in an hour late, you can't keep me an hour late. I have a life out of here. And like that's where it ends. Like at 5 o'clock,
you're out.
Bye.
Yeah.
Don't expect a text back. Don't expect a Slack. Don't expect me to check my email. People check email over vacations. I'm like, you are cut.
That blows my mind.
Oh my God. And the thing is when you do it, it then becomes it's then expected. And so then everybody has to participate, or it seems like they're not going above and beyond.
Yeah.
Which is why it's really a collective. I'm sort of on a little soapbox right now,
That's
but it really is a collective issue where making the workplace, like work-life balance, work for all of us, we all have to buy in and set boundaries, because when you don't set boundaries and you let employees take advantage of you, your employers will expect that of all the other employees, and that's not fair.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who is like pursuing another thing. You don't know who is like maybe an in-home caretaker, who's a parent. Like we all deserve hours that are ours.
Yeah.
And so it's our job, all of us, the collective, to be firm about work-life balance boundaries in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I'm going on my first, like, I just started this new job in July, and I'm going on my first vacation, like, since starting it next week. And half the people that I work with, they like, when they're on vacation, they check email every morning and everything like that. And then half the people, I'm like, I'm not going to.
No, you don't have to.
Like,
no. And I would go so far to say is the people who do are doing a disservice to all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're setting the expectation.
Because they're setting the expectation and they don't get paid for that. And like, also those are hours of your life that you don't get back.
Yeah.
And like when you die, is your boss going to show up to your funeral? Maybe. Probably not.
Yeah, that's true. No, my favorite though, my boss, she's the fucking best. She, like, everyone, like, when they are out, they'll send like an out of office email that's like, oh, like, you can reach out to this person if you have any questions or whatever. Her out of office emails is just, I'm not in the office. I will be back on Tuesday.
Love that. Queen.
Like,
yes. Absolutely. Go off.
That's it. And
Absolutely.
I'm like, she's Staten Island, intense. And
absolutely.
She's like, I don't know what to tell you. It's not life or death, whatever you're asking me.
Exactly. Dude,
so,
that's the other thing is when I worked in advertising is everything to them.
So I hated working in advertising.
Bro. And I also worked in social media for a long time.
Yep.
And like people would be like, oh, it's like this like caption or this like thumbnail, like it's life or death.
Oh my God.
And then I was literally working for a company, tweeting for them for like some fucking TV show during the insurrection. And they were like, no, we're just going to work through it. And I was like,
Can we talk about what's going on
Can
right
we talk
now?
about what's actually life or death? Like,
yeah.
I don't want to be like tweeting for Selena, some dumb TV show. Like, while it was just intense.
No, so I worked at this advertising agency. The reason I say it is just because they pay well and they're like, whatever.
Oh no, they pay great. And here's the thing is, I will go back. I was literally thinking about that today. I'm sure that I will collect my bag and leave, but I have to take a big break because I just can't stand it.
No, I realized, holy shit, we are sitting here making things that people pay to not watch.
God,
like,
that's so true.
People hate this stuff so much that they will pay to not have it.
To avoid
and we're sitting here
creating more of it
for like 50 hours a week, just making more of it on a call, deciding are we going to use yellow cheese or orange cheese on the cheeseburger.
The other fucking thing is like the minute detail.
It was insane.
And I'm like, it doesn't matter.
But no one's watching it.
No one's watching it. But it's also like anytime I work in like an office, I'm always like, a lot of these jobs are fake, and a lot of the work we do is like fake, but it's just used to excuse us being here and getting paychecks.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where it's like all of the work that we do could reasonably be done probably 10 hours a week at home.
Yeah.
But because like they have an office lease they need to pay for, people need to be there. Like it's sort of the illusion of being busy and the illusion of working a lot and the illusion of grind culture. But at the end of the day, you're like in a conference room deciding what color a cheese should be in a commercial.
Exactly. And I'm like, you guys, like we didn't need a 30-minute meeting for this. I know. I was pissed. I love my job now, I will say.
Oh, that's great.
So we've moved. So that's been.
What do you do now?
It's been good. I work at SiriusXM and they're like podcasting department.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. I love that.
I really love it.
That's great.
I do like ad sales for them, but it's like
still
I don't have to touch the creative really. Yeah. And it's fun. Like it's like I'll get like.
Do you match ads to podcasts where you're like, oh, I love that.
I'll book like whatever ZocDoc wants to be on Conan. Yeah. And so then I'll like get the copy in and then Conan will record it. I do not.
Oh, okay.
I am the mule. So I transport the copy from client to talent. And But it's so cool when I'm like listening to these podcasts and I'll like
I love podcasts.
hear them
do the
like
ad.
do the ad, and I'm like, no fucking way, I did that.
Nice.
And I like it because I like that it supports this like medium that I am so passionate about and that I love consuming, and the fact that it allows that medium to be free and accessible for so many people. So that's where it's like I've started to find like a lot of meaning in it, and I've really been liking it.
That.
Yeah, no, it's been cool, but creative agency was not for me.
No, I know.
That was not the thing.
I mean, I'll be back, but
exactly,
I'll hate it the whole time.
Yep. So how do you? We kind of touched on this briefly about like being a woman in comedy, and you might get asked this all the time, and you can say like, Jackie, I get asked this all the time, and I don't want to deal with it. But how do you navigate like the sexism and like hypersexualization of women in comedy?
That's an interesting question. I do think the trend has only been up. Like, you know, I'm not like in the 1980s. Like,
this is true.
There are female, but that is still hard. I think my rule of thumb is I don't date comedians.
Okay.
And so being very open about that, it sort of like removes like any possibility. And I think that has been like such a life hack for me, because I do get us asked out by comedians, and I always get to be like, sorry, I don't take comics. And like, it's just like off the table. So that's been great. I mean, I wouldn't begrudge anybody dating a comic. I get it. It just, for me, it's like sleeping with a coworker. Yeah. And then I've also, something I realized is I'm like, people are going to sexualize you against your will. Yeah. No matter what you do. Yeah. I'm not going to curb my life around. Like, for a long time, I didn't post any bikini pictures on Instagram because they all ended up on Reddit. Wow. Yeah. And now I'm like, fuck you, whatever. Like, I'm not going to
like, I look hot.
And I'm not going to look like this forever. Like, it's, at some point it'll go away.
I won't always look 18.
Exactly. So now I'm a little bit more like, I don't know. It's tough. Somebody told me once that you have to think of yourself as like a Barbie doll or like a paper doll. Just like, people see you as so one-dimensional. Yes. And they don't realize that you're like a real person. And so when they take your pictures and they put them on Reddit or whatever, like, they don't realize that there's like a human being there. And you sort of have to apply that lens to yourself. Yeah. And just be like, it can't matter. Like, we're all just like moving our little figurines around.
Is your little avatar?
Yes, my little avatar.
Is going about the world.
Exactly. And then also, like, in recent years, I've sort of tried to internalize. I'm like, what somebody else thinks of me is none of my business. Yep. Yeah.
How have you internalized that?
Just sort of like not worrying about if people think I'm like a slut or whatever. Like,
you're like, okay, bet, probably am. Like,
exactly. I mean, like I said, I don't sleep with comedians, but I mean, like, I definitely get like some people don't, whatever, like young women in comedy or whatever it is. Like, yeah. I am here to have fun, and I'm having fun, and that's sort of where it starts and stops for me. And that's not to say that there's not sexism in the industry, because it is, but that's none of my business. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Where if somebody's like, girls aren't funny, I'm like, all right, sick. Yeah. And I feel like that's a real disease of posting on TikTok and Instagram, is like, any clip I post, I get a million guys being like, that's not funny. Girls aren't funny. Like, I don't get it. And I'm like, okay, first of all, if you don't get it, like, literally, I'll have a video with like 12,000 likes, like 100,000 likes, and there will be a group of guys being like, I don't get it. I'm like, okay, well, then maybe that's your fault. Yeah. Like,
100,000 people did get it.
Yes. If 90,000 people saw this video and they hit a like, maybe you are the one with the issue.
You might be.
Yeah. But I'm also like, whatever. That's not my business. Yeah. I can't make it my business.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
not worth it.
Ridiculous. And then I saw a clip where you said you don't drink, and you also just mentioned you don't drink very much. I'm curious to talk more about that. I famously do not drink.
Oh, you don't? No. Yeah, I stopped drinking full time.
I always get excited when I find other people who don't.
How long have you not been drinking?
So I've like never drank my whole life.
Not one time.
Well, I have, and I'd get really sick. Yes. And then turns out it was like OCD, and I figured that out while I was in my program, and that like I wasn't actually getting sick. I was having a panic attack because I was scared of losing control. Wild.
Oh, me. It's so me.
Yeah. A whole wild thing. And then I had to do like exposure therapy, where I would drink like with my therapist. Like, I would have a glass of water and put a splash of wine in it and take a sip of it.
So funny.
Which was so funny, and like so the opposite of like most therapy.
Make a great pilot if you ever get into writing. That's a very
maybe that'll
be
my pilot. But and so then now I can like theoretically drink, but like every time I've drank like probably 3 times since then, and every time I do, I'm so fucking annoying. I'm so loud. I don't stop talking, and I try to hook up with my friends. And like, it's just like, it doesn't go well. And it's like, I'm like a 17-year-old who's drunk and doesn't know how to handle her
like
alcohol.
One of the first. My life got so much better after I stopped drinking. Like,
when did you stop drinking?
I stopped drinking full time like a year ago.
And what was like the?
I was not a big drinker before that.
Yeah.
And my parents were also alcoholics when I was growing up. And then I had an alcoholic boyfriend.
Oh.
And then, that was really sort of the nail in the coffin where I was like, I don't like it. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I was also just such a lightweight. I was very sensitive to it. And so my life just got like, so I definitely didn't have a problem, but I was just like, every time I did it, it made me feel sick. Like,
you felt shitty.
Yeah, I felt shitty.
Yeah.
I was like, it's like eating food, like, I don't know. It's like
eating dairy if you're lactose intolerant.
Literally, it's like electively getting food poisoning where I'm like, I just didn't like it. And so now I don't drink anymore. And that's just sort of that. And I sleep better and my skin's better and my anxiety is way less.
Oh my God. When I drank like a month ago and it was,
I
drank a month ago is like a very light statement.
The anxiety is so real.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
The whole next day I was like, I feel like
shit.
Ass.
Yeah, it's really sand in the gears. And then the less you drink, the more you realize that every time you do, because I tapered off. I didn't just stop drinking one day. I was like, let me have a glass of wine a month or like maybe 2 glasses of wine in one sitting. And I would just feel so bad where it was like, every time I do it, I feel like shit. And I know that I feel like shit because on other days of the month, I feel awesome.
I don't feel exactly. Yeah. How have you, I feel like when I was in college, I like got like a lot of shit for not drinking, but I feel like as an adult,
me too. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's in LA. It's so much easier because everybody's sort of like on their
health kick.
Yeah, exactly. On their California sober sort of bent. It's a little bit harder on the East Coast. But I also think the world is just in such a place now where like if somebody's not drinking, people are like, okay, that's cool. People are like, oh, why?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough working in a lot of bars just because I get so tired.
Yes.
But my new thing is like I drink a lot of real soda. I drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
And I always get a snack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's good. Do you think you'd ever want to do SNL?
No.
No? Why not?
Let's listen. Never say never. I'm not going to turn it down.
You're like, Lauren, if you're listening.
But something that I think is actually really bad for my career is I sort of think that competition is a brain disease.
Okay.
And I don't like high stress environments.
So continue in exactly the same way.
And I don't like working hard. And I feel like those are 3 things that you need to be okay with if you take a high pressure job like SNL.
This is true.
And I also like getting a lot of sleep. So I just don't know.
You won't get it there.
Exactly. I don't know that it would be conducive. I'm sure there would be a lot of fun and a great job. And obviously I would never, ever, ever say no to it. But I just don't know that it vibes with my personal lifestyle. Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense. And that's good to know about yourself.
It is good to know about myself. I'm very like low energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any other, aside from your like special that you're doing, any other exciting things you want to promote or you have coming up or anything else you want to chat about?
Not really at all. Anything coming up. I mean, I have Funnilingus second Sunday of every month at Hotel Cafe.
Love it.
That's pretty fun. We're going to Sketchfest in February.
What's Sketchfest?
Sketchfest is a comedy festival in San Francisco.
Cool.
I'll probably be running my 45 minutes, whatever I'm going to tape. I'll probably be running that, doing a little tour.
Wait, so fun.
Yeah, just to get it ready before I tape it. Yeah.
Listen
so TBD. Yeah, you can follow me on socials to stay up tuned on that.
Fantastic. I'll add your little socials in the description.
Yeah,
and then
please.
My final question, I asked this to all my guests. We kind of touched on this in the beginning, but it's what advice would you give to your 16-year-old self?
Aw.
It's cute.
That's cute. I like that. Let me think. I don't know. This is like so bittersweet. I had like a really hard childhood, which is something that I like am working through in therapy and like has been really hard for me on stage, I feel like.
Yep.
So this is like the first year where I'm like, okay, I'm not shutting out my childhood self. I am opening up the door. I am seeing her. I'm accepting her. We're one. Where I'm not like, okay, I'm afraid to talk to you. I'm like, no, we're going to integrate here. And so I think about being 16 and I was just so scared of everything. And like everything felt so big and like just sad. I was so sad. And so I would just say like, stick with it. Like it doesn't get better, but it gets more interesting. It doesn't get better, but it gets more interesting.
Okay, I'll take that.
Do you know what I mean? That's true. Like shit is still really hard.
Yeah.
But now I get to be an adult. Like now I get to like, my life is, and also that's the thing is, as a babysitter, something I'm realizing that like kids have no agency.
I was just about to say
and
that.
that's so hard. That's so hard and so scary. And like, you're not in control of your own life at all.
You're not in control of who you spend time with.
You're not in control of who you spend time with. You're like, everything is at the whim of like somebody else who maybe doesn't know you that well.
Yeah.
And that is just so hard. And you feel like you have no control. And so you can spiral so quickly. Whereas like an adult, like it's so grounding to be like, I have control of my life. I have control of who I spend time with. I like am now a safe adult to other people. And like, that's really like rewarding. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally get that. Okay. Well, thank you
so
much,
thank you for having me.
This was really special.
This was so fun. This
was
I'm
great.
So glad. I like this a lot. I can't wait to share it.
I'm so glad.
Did you laugh? I didn't.